Good morning. We continue our conversation about the feminine principle of flow and our feminine responsibility of receptivity in this process of creation. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about the Taoist symbol and how it represents the dance of duality within the unity, the oneness of the whole. Let me just start with a quote from the Tao Te Ching, as I quote in my book, the OASIS. By any name, 1, 2, 3. There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. It is the mother of the universe. For lack of a better name, I call it the Tao. It flows through all things inside and out and returns to the origin of all things. The Tao is great. The universe is great. Earth is great. Man is great. These are the four great powers. Man follows earth. Earth follows universe. Universe follows the Tao. The Tao follows only itself. So, in talking yesterday about flow, flow represents our energetic universe in that core principle of thermodynamics, the movement of energy, is that energy always flows from a point of high concentration to a point of lower concentration. So again, as we serve our function, which is a very feminine function of receptivity, serving as a conduit, the portal through which this energy flows from the timeless realm into the space-time world, we are fulfilling a great function, because the Tao, or as Eckhart Tolle described God as the unmanifested, as this energetic principle seeks manifestation, seeks expression, it needs us, it needs our participation. Okay, so this is where the beginning of that dance of duality happens, because in the perfect expanse of universal oneness, there isn't the dance of duality. There isn't the masculine and the feminine. But in order for this energetic oneness, this principle of oneness, to manifest in the space-time world, which is defined by duality, it needs to divide itself seemingly from oneness into duality, into two parts. Okay, so if we see the Tao as the great mother, the mother of all things, in her magnanimity, she takes on the masculine energetic form of expression. We take on the feminine energetic principle of receptivity, and the energy flows through us into the world. Now, one of the key elements that I mentioned before about our process of creativity, I'd mentioned the 4 stages: the preparation, incubation, illumination, and expression. It's key to remember that both as a species and as individuals, our process of preparation is a masculine process. Okay, there's work involved in preparing ourselves to receive this creative evolutionary power. And then it's necessary that we shift, that we let go and we move ourselves into a feminine position of openness, receptivity, patience. Okay, so there's a great line from A Course in Miracles that says it's only infinite patience that produces immediate results. So being able to harness this perfect feminine power of receptivity and patience, we allow this masculine energetic principle to move through us. And the process of illumination, again, is the second part of this feminine receptivity. And then, again, we're called to step into the masculine and express, deliver, communicate through one means or another. Sometimes it can be through words, my talking or my writing. Other times it's other forms of expression, how we reach out and share, reach out and touch our fellow humans. But it takes a certain masculine boldness, okay, to do that, especially in this time of great transformation. It takes a certain masculine boldness to perhaps speak in ways that are difficult for most to hear. Okay, we're going through a very important birthing process, and a big part of this birthing process is a dying process. The old forms must be dissolved in order that there's this openness, this receptivity for this new evolutionary pulse to arise. Okay, so we talked about that just briefly. I'll mention that much more as we talk about the masculine and feminine, because we're talking about the feminine flow, but also the masculine power of the fire that destroys, that breaks down, that dissolves old forms. So it's very important to understand and accept and ideally appreciate and participate with enthusiasm in this dance of duality, because it's essential to understand our place and purpose in this universe to be able to do this. Because many people, they just want to focus on a non-dual awareness of oneness, and it's difficult for many to appreciate what we're called to do as participants in this dance in the space-time world, which is, again, the interplay of masculine and feminine forces. Okay, and so we see this polarity expressed in a variety of ways, and much of it is, again, where the polarity, the duality, has attached itself to forms. Okay, and those could be economic forms or political forms or whatever forms. And the forms now, which are being called to dissolve in order that new forms or systems or whatever might arise. And this is always the difficulty with our evolution, again, at the personal level as well as the macrocosm, our species, is that we don't willingly, most do not willingly die to the old forms. We resist death. Okay, so we see that evidenced now in the world with so much fear, resistance, so much anger, confusion. It's an amazing time to be alive, and especially those of us that are called into mastery, where we might participate at a very high level in this birthing, deathing, birthing process. Very important, a very critical, very powerful time to be alive. I wondered, why my decades of preparation, sort of what was going to initiate this transformation, and here it's happening. Here in late 2019, it all began. You know, we went through the 0 point of 2012, and here we are now moving into this new era, this age of Aquarius, where, you know, we're poised and prepared to birth something new, but we needed help. Okay, so the forces that appear evil are in fact angelic in helping us in this process of transformation. Okay, so it's really important to understand, and again, I'll make a point to post in the video, the symbol, the Taoist symbol, which is key, okay, duality, but it's white and black, light and dark, good and evil, masculine and feminine, whatever. It's important to recognize that, you know, in the Taoist symbol, you'll see the light, point of light in the dark and the point of dark in the light. This dance, this interplay of duality, of polarity, is essential to understand and appreciate. Again, remember, we want, as those willing to help birth a new earth, using Eckhart Tolle's definitions, to bring acceptance, appreciation, and enthusiasm to this process. So now, as much of the world is in this state of incubation, which, you know, looks like dissolution, looks like death, it's the caterpillar being transmuted into the butterfly, that it looks very dark, it looks very